Big Value, Big Business Podcast, episode 25.
Welcome to the Big Value, Big Business Podcast with James Lynch, where we talk with today's most successful marketing minds about getting the right message in front of the right people and getting the right people to become your customers for life. And now, your host, James Lynch.
All right, welcome back, my friends, to yet another edition of the Big Value, Big Business Podcast. I am your host, James Lynch. Today, I am really big time super excited about today's episode. No, not because I have a fantastic guest, because this is, my friends, the episode number 25. 25. I cannot believe Big Value, Big Business has gone this far, this fast. You know, when I started the podcast back in December of last year, I was so excited and I was full of hope, ambition, and wonder about, how this thing was really going to shake out. And now, here I am 6 months and 24 plus episodes in, and, this making 25. I could not be happy with the results. Now, let me take a second to, if you don't mind, shout out my guests, and I'll be real quick, but it's really important to me, because they are actually who made the show. So I'm going to shout out a list of guests in order of appearance from the most recent back to the very beginning. So let's start with Mamika Cooney at CaptureSchool.com, Jeff Roars, AudiencePro.com, AJ Amex, AJAmex.com, Brian Kramer from BrianKramer.com, Aaron Bethune from MusicPreneur.ca. We also have Ann Hanley from AnnHanley.com, Michelle Dale from VirtualMissFriday.com, Mike Koala from SelfEmployedKing.com, John Lee Dumas from EntrepreneurOnFire.com, Miss Bethany Gilbert from OwnYourHill.com, Hermione Way, StartupWorld.info, Ollie Gardner from Unbounce.com, Rochelle Moulton from RochelleMoulton.com, Andrew Davis from AKADrewDavis.com. We have Mr. Pat Flynn from SmartPassiveIncome.com, Ezra Firestone from SmartMarketer.com, Brian Massey from ConversionSciences.com, Corbett Barr from Fizzle.co, Joe Palizzi from ContentMarketingInstitute.com, Jason Clegg from ConvertWithContent.com, Stephanie Frasco-Clegg from ConvertWithContent.com. Yes, they are a married couple. Keith Krantz from DominateWebMedia.com. And way back in the beginning, Mr. James Shremko from SuperFastBusiness.com. That rounds up everyone that's been on the podcast, and I really want to say thank you to each and every one of them for everything they have done for me and for giving so generously of their time. So let's take a look back and see what the... see what it's been like over the last 6 months and how far I've come. So first thing I asked myself, I looked back and I said, well, am I rolling in endorsements and in sponsors? The answer to that is nope, not a one. Do I have a huge mailing list of listeners? Have I gotten out there and really blown it up? And nope. I can actually say my mailing list is pretty modest, and it is composed of some of the most fantastic people I've ever had the pleasure to serve, but it's modest. It's not huge. Am I monetizing anything in any way, shape, or form? And nope, not making a dime. This is still purely a labor of love. If you are anywhere in and around the internet marketing space, you'll notice the huge push for podcasts. There's hardly a successful or even an up-and-coming blogger, online marketer, author, or consultant out there that does not have some kind of either a podcast, a Google Plus Hangout, a TV show on YouTube, whatever. I'm talking lots of folks out there. They're using audio and video to help them get their message out to even more people. So, speaking strictly of the guys that I know, this huge influx of podcasts, I think, has been inspired in part by the success and influence of two guys that that are very close to me, and I've had them both on my show, and they're responsible for me getting into the podcast world. The first would have to be John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire. John's a monster in the podcast space. He has a daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. And then Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn has been a monster for years as far as providing great information on internet marketing, to his tribe. And he's gone from a weekly podcast. Now he does a daily podcast called Ask Pat, where he takes information or takes questions from his audience and answers them right online. So, just these two guys alone combined have, downloads close to tens of millions. That's millions with a mill. They have listeners in practically every corner of the world, and daily they provide their listeners with so much valuable information, motivation, and inspiration. As I said, these two guys, both Pat Flynn and John Lee Dumas, were in a big way responsible for inspiring me to start the Big Value, Big Business podcast. I am still a faithful listener to both, and I have really tried to bring big value to my prospective audiences, just like they do to theirs. And eventually, I hope to get paid in the process. But hey, we'll see. I know a lot of folks have started a podcast as a result of listening to and being inspired by these guys like this. Heck, who wouldn't really want to start a podcast and emulate the success like John Lee Dumas has had, over $100,000 a month consistently? It's huge. But unfortunately, not everybody can be so lucky to hit it big time, like these guys. So, John and Pat, they've really paid their dues and have worked incredibly hard for the blessings that they now enjoy, and they continue to work hard each and every day serving their prospective tribes. While a few folks have been able to, crack the code like they have and grab a decent-sized following and make a really good living with their podcasts, alas, folks, a lot of folks working a podcast like me, they just, haven't gotten it yet. But there's still time. That doesn't mean we failed. It just means, we have to work a little harder and go at it for a little bit longer. Like they say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So, I knew I wasn't going to set the world on fire in the first 6 months, and probably not even cause a spark in the first year. And frankly, it wasn't my intention. I wanted to get to know the folks that I've had the pleasure and good fortune to interview. I wanted to learn about them and what they do and how they became successful and how they continue to thrive by, wait for it, by providing big value. Yeah, that was how I started all this thing. So, but I also wanted to provide my listeners some big value as well by asking, the right questions and hopefully getting some answers that would inspire my listeners and friends to take their businesses, in their lives to the next level. These last 6 months have been a huge learning experience for me. And, I'm so grateful to everyone that has given me their time so generously. And while I'm speaking of gratitude, I really and truly want to thank all of you, those of you that are listening, my listeners, my audience, my friends. Thank you for letting me come into your life, into your ears for a short time, as you listened. I really do feel that it's an honor and a privilege to have you take time out of your busy day and your busy life to listen to something that I personally produce, and I can't put it any other way, so I will just say thank you. So exactly what have I learned over the past 6 months from chatting with some of the best and brightest marketing minds on the planet? Now, I could easily fill 2, 3, 4, or more podcast hours if I went over everything that I've learned. But, I'll call out a few things here that are top of mind that I think I should share with you immediately. So, one thing that I can honestly say, and it's just a given, that, the brief time that I've spent with each and every one of these guys, I would not hesitate to enter into any kind of project or joint venture with any of them. They are all fine, honest, fair, and absolutely hardworking individuals. So let's go with lesson 1. We'll call this 1A. First thing that comes to mind is the kindness and generosity that I've had the pleasure to speak with. These guys, so kind and giving of themselves and their time and their expertise. I don't compensate anyone for their time except for a little push on social media and a little mention here and there. But what they give of themselves, it's purely complimentary. And a lot of my guests are extremely busy people. A couple of them running multi-million-dollar companies. So I think lesson one is taken from their from what they do is always be giving back, no matter how busy or successful you have become. That's everyone that has been a guest on my show has been so gracious and so generous and just so giving back because they do remember and honor where they came from. So, secondly, I have to be focused. Each and every person I've spoken with has the ability to be extremely focused. All the winners that I speak to have this ability to laser focus on their mission, their product, their market, and their audience. And you can just tell when you hear them speak, they know what they're going to say because they have a clear and unwavering focus in what they're about. So lesson number 2 would have to be focus. Focus on what's important. What's important to your mission, to your audience. Avoid multitasking. Avoid bright, shiny objects and set goals for yourself daily that contribute to your big picture goals and your long-term goals. Lesson 3, everybody I speak to is constantly learning. They attend events, seminars, webinars, talks, and they read voraciously and they read constantly. Their learning consists of, but is really not limited to, the strategies for business, self-improvement, psychology, life enhancement, life enrichment, not only of their lives, but the lives of people around them. The reading lists, the list of books is huge and diverse. And I will share some of the titles, on the show notes page for this show. That'll be over at bigvaluebigbusiness.com/episode 25. You can see some of the authors and titles that these guys are into, and very inspiring, very good stuff. So, lesson 3. Read, learn, grow. Invest in yourself heavily. Get out and keep up with what's happening in and around the world, both online and offline. Go to events, network, learn, and read. Constantly feed your brain. Fourth, this one kind of goes along with number 3. It's get out and network. Get out and meet people. No successful business person that I've spoken to, or moreover, anyone that I've ever read about that has had any form of success, has ever had their success as a result of being in a vacuum. Everyone I chat with has had at least one mentor or one mastermind group or one just meeting group that they confide in on a regular basis. Even the most successful folks I know or have someone or some group that they rely on for inspiration and support. And to that end, they also contribute to these groups, to these mentors, they give of their knowledge, to the same folks that they are learning from. So it's always very reciprocal. So to sum up, lesson 4 is have a mentor, have a mastermind, belong to a group or mastermind group, and some kind of support group where you can give and receive the gifts that are so important to success in life and success in business. So I'll round out with number 5. All the knowledge in the world is useless without action. All of my guests are action takers. They have become successful not by sitting on the sidelines, but getting in the game, if you pardon the cliche. They are all in the game. We have a tendency to gather as much information as we can, and I am guilty of this. Whenever we can, I see something, I got to have that, I sock it away. No matter if we need the information or not, we squirrel it away for later because, hey, you never know when, I will need that shortcut or that strategy or that hack. So lesson 5, learn it, then implement it. Don't store it, period. If you're not going to use it now, leave it. You probably don't need it, and it's just a distraction. Don't download that ebook or that checklist of tips and tricks and hacks, only to have it take up space on your hard drive. Get what you need when you need it and act on it now. So this is, at a very high level, some of the lessons that I've learned from the fantastic group of folks that have graced the first 25 or so episodes of the Big Value, Big Business podcast. I can honestly say that all of these lessons have made the path for me to success a heck of a lot clearer. and I'm still growing. And I feel I am headed in the right direction. So thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for the Big Value, Big Business podcast as usual. And as with each and every episode, I hope to bring some big value into your day. You take care, and I'll be talking to you again real soon.
Thanks for listening to the Big Value, Big Business podcast at www.bigvaluebigbusiness.com.